Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. You know how much we love to really dig into these trading books? And today we're taking on Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, specifically chapter 1.
It's a classic for a reason.
It really is. And I think what's so cool about this chapter is how it walks us through this evolution of how people have thought about analyzing the markets. You know, starting back in the day with fundamental analysis.
Yeah, fundamental analysis.
Then moving into technical analysis.
Right.
And finally landing on what's often the most overlooked part, the mental game.
The psychology of trading. That's where the real magic happens.
Totally. And what's interesting is how these shifts apply not just to trading, but to life in general. You know, it's like a framework for understanding how we make decisions under uncertainty.
It's about recognizing the role of human behavior in any system, whether it's the financial markets or our own personal lives.
Exactly. So let's go back in time a bit to when fundamental analysis was King Douglas even mentions how technical analysis was seen as mystical hocus pocus back in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. It was almost taboo to even talk about chart patterns and stuff like that.
Can you imagine?
It's wild to think about now, considering how popular technical analysis has become.
Right. So for those who might not be familiar with fundamental analysis, can you give us a quick rundown of what it's all about?
Sure. So basically, fundamental analysis is all about trying to determine the intrinsic value of an asset by analyzing all these different factors, like interest rates, company financials, economic indicators, even things like weather patterns. It's all about crunching the numbers to come up with what you believe is the true price of something.
So it sounds super thorough, but I gotta ask, doesn't it kind of miss a key piece of the puzzle? I mean, traders are human, right? And humans don't always act in a completely irrational way.
That's a great point, and that's actually one of the biggest limitations of fundamental analysis. It assumes that everyone is always acting in their own best interest based on logic and reason. But the reality is the markets are driven by emotions, fear, greed, hope, all these irrational impulses.
And on top of that, the book points out that a lot of those big players, the ones who are actually moving the markets, often don't even know the fundamentals themselves.
Right. They're making decisions based on gut feeling relationships, insider information, whatever it might be. And that creates what Douglas calls this reality gap.
The reality gap.
Yeah, the gap between what logically should happen based on the numbers and what actually happens in the market due to the unpredictable nature of human behavior.
So basically, the market doesn't always follow the script.
Nope. And that's where technical analysis comes in.
Right. So instead of trying to predict this logical price based on all these external factors, technical analysis focuses on what the market is actually doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about observing price action chart patterns, volume trends, all those things that give you clues about the collective psychology of the market.
So you're not trying to figure out why the market is doing what it's doing?
Not necessarily. At least not in the traditional fundamental sense.
You're just trying to understand how it's behaving
Yeah.
and then use that information to make trading decisions.
Exactly. And the idea is that traders collectively form habits, and those habits create patterns in the market data. So it's less about forecasting some future price and more about recognizing these patterns as they unfold and essentially reading the market psychology through its actions.
Okay, so that makes sense. But here's the million-dollar question. If technical analysis is so great, why do so many traders still struggle?
That's the age-old question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we've all been there, right? You see the charts, you recognize the patterns, but then you freeze up.
You overthink it.
You second-guess yourself. You just don't take action.
And that's where we bump into what Douglas calls the psychological gap.
The psychological gap.
Yeah, the gap between knowing what the market is doing and actually having the mental fortitude to act on that knowledge. It's one thing to understand technical analysis, but it's a whole other ballgame to conquer those internal barriers that sabotage our success.
It's so true. And he gives some really great examples in the book, like watching a stock climb while doing absolutely nothing.
Or getting in too early.
Or too late.
Not taking profits when you should. Holding on to losers for way too long.
All those classic trading mistakes.
Which, let's be honest, are often driven by fear and all its different flavors.
So it's not just about having the right strategy or the right tools. It's about having the right mindset.
It's about mastering the mental game. Which brings us to the big question. Can trading truly be mastered?
And the answer, thankfully, is a resounding yes.
But it's not about becoming some kind of superhuman trading machine.
It's about recognizing that the key to consistent success lies in understanding and managing your own psychology.
And that's where mental analysis comes in.
Right, because ultimately the difference between those consistently successful traders and everyone else isn't about being smarter or working harder.
It's not about having a fancy trading system or some secret indicator.
It's about mindset.
It's about developing a way of thinking and being that allows you to navigate the markets with confidence and clarity.
And this difference is pretty significant, right? I think he even compares it to the difference between the Earth and the Moon.
Yeah, it's not a small tweak. We're talking about a complete transformation in how you perceive the market, how you manage risk, and how you react to those inevitable ups and downs that come with trading.
So what we're really getting at here is that success in trading isn't about outsmarting the market. It's about mastering your own mind.
It's about becoming the kind of trader who can consistently execute their strategy without letting fear, doubt, or greed get in the way.
And that's a powerful takeaway for anyone who's serious about achieving their trading goals.
Absolutely. Because once you understand the power of the mental game, you open up a whole new world of possibilities.
And that's what we're going to explore in more depth as we continue our deep dive into trading in the zone.
So buckle up. It's going to be a fascinating ride. One of the really interesting things Douglas talks about is how trading is full of these paradoxes.
Paradoxes.
Yeah, like things that seem contradictory, but when you really think about it, they kind of make sense.
Yeah, give me an example.
So he talks at risk, like how everyone who trades takes risks, obviously, but very few truly accept risk.
That's interesting. What do you think he means by that?
Well, it's like this. Are you truly comfortable with the fact that the market is uncertain? Or are you always trying to find ways to, like, eliminate that uncertainty? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I do. You're saying it's not just about taking a risk, but about being okay with the fact that you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. It's about embracing that uncertainty as, like, a fundamental part of the game.
Okay, so how does that play out in actual trading? Like, what are some signs that someone isn't really accepting risk?
Oh, man. There are so many classic examples. Like holding on to losing trades for way too long, hoping they'll magically turn around.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely me sometimes.
Or like getting in too early because you're afraid of missing out.
FOMO is real.
It is. And all these things stem from fear. Which brings us to what Douglas calls the 4 primary trading fears.
Oh, yeah. The 4 fears. What are they again?
All right, so we've got the fear of being wrong, the fear of losing money, the fear of missing out, and the fear of leaving money on the table.
It's like the 4 horsemen of the trading apocalypse.
Right. And those fears are always lurking in the background, ready to sabotage our best-laid plans.
So why are they so dangerous if everyone experiences them? Aren't they just like a normal part of trading?
Well, the thing is, fear, while totally natural, is the ultimate enemy of good decision-making.
So it's not just that we feel fear, it's how that fear affects our thinking.
Exactly. It clouds our judgment, makes us impulsive, leads us to make decisions that we wouldn't make if we were thinking clearly.
So it's not the market itself that's creating these fears, it's our own mindset.
You got it. We bring all our baggage to the trading game, our past experiences, our beliefs about money, our risk tolerance, all that stuff.
And that baggage can really weigh us down if we're not careful.
For sure. It creates these invisible barriers that prevent us from seeing the market clearly and acting decisively.
So if the problem is mental, the solution must be mental too, right?
Bingo. That's exactly what Douglas argues.
So what's the antidote to fear? How do we rewire our brains to be more objective and confident in the face of risk?
Well, he lays out 2 paths. The first is to try and eliminate risk entirely through endless analysis.
Trying to predict every single market move.
Yeah, like becoming a master of all indicators and systems and trying to control every variable.
Doesn't sound very realistic.
It's not. He actually calls it falling into a black hole of analysis.
A black hole.
Because you can get sucked in and never come out.
Yeah.
You're constantly searching for more information, more certainty, more control.
Yeah, and it never ends.
Nope. Because the market is inherently unpredictable.
So that path leads to analysis paralysis.
Exactly. So what's the other path?
The path of acceptance.
The path of embracing risk as a natural part of the game.
Letting go of the need to control everything.
And instead, focusing on what you can control. Your own reactions, your own decisions.
So it's a shift in perspective, from trying to eliminate risk to managing it.
From fearing uncertainty to accepting it.
From being reactive to being proactive.
And that's a huge mental leap for a lot of traders.
It is, but it's a leap worth taking. Because on the other side of that fear is where true freedom and success lie.
And that's what we're going to explore further in the next part of our deep dive into trading in the zone. It's really about, like, recognizing those thought patterns.
Becoming aware of them.
Yeah, like when you feel that fear or that greed or whatever it is, just noticing it without judgment.
So it's not about suppressing those emotions.
No, it's more about understanding them and how they might be affecting your trading.
And this goes beyond trading, right?
Absolutely.
This whole idea of like acknowledging and accepting risk, training your mind to be objective and confident.
That's life skills right there.
It really is. It's like Douglas is saying, if you can master this in trading,
You can master it anywhere.
exactly, because it's all about developing that mental and emotional resilience.
The ability to handle whatever life throws at you without getting thrown off course.
And that's not about becoming some emotionless robot.
No. It's about learning to process those emotions in a healthy way,
So you can make clear-headed decisions.
even when the pressure is on.
And that takes work.
It does. It's a process of self-discovery and growth.
It's about challenging those deeply ingrained thought patterns that might be holding you back.
The ones that tell you you're not good enough or that you can't handle risk.
And it's not always comfortable.
It's not. It can be scary to face those inner demons,
But it's so worth it.
because on the other side of that fear is where the real magic happens.
Where you tap into your full potential.
And that's what trading in the zone is all about.
It's a roadmap for that journey of self-transformation.
And it's not just for traders.
It's for anyone who wants to live a more empowered and fulfilling life.
A life where you're not limited by fear or doubt.
A life where you're free to pursue your dreams and achieve your goals.
So yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to wrap up our deep dive into Chapter 1.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. We went from the limitations of fundamental analysis
To the power of technical analysis.
and ultimately to the most important factor of all.
The trader's mindset.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
Trading in the zone is packed with so many more insights and strategies.
So if you're ready to dive deeper into the psychology of trading,
I highly recommend checking out the rest of the book.
it might just change your life.
It did for me.
Until next time, happy trading, everyone, and keep diving deep.
Bye.